The Tim Heale Podcasts. Ordinary people's extraordinary stories.
Welcome to the Tim Heale Podcast. In this episode, I'm going to have a chat with Amanda. Amanda lives in Canada. So Amanda, if you can tell me where and when you were born, and if you can describe what it was like, where you grew up, the type of school that you went to, and the education you received.
Sure. So I was born in North Battleford, Saskatchewan, and it was, 1989. So I'm 32 years old. And
Just a baby then.
yeah, I'm a little young, but, yeah, so I got so nervous all of a sudden.
There's no need to be nervous.
I know. I don't know. So I was born in North Battleford. It used to be considered the most dangerous city in Canada. I don't know if it still is, but there was actually a global news program where they did a full documentary almost on our city, and it was called Crime Town because the crime here has always been out of control for as long as I've been alive. So yeah, I grew up here, and it's it's a very heavy populated. There's a lot of native reservations all around us. So it's heavy.
Native Americans, Indians.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the correct term right now is indigenous. The terminology is always changing, but it's right now it's indigenous people. So there's about 14 indigenous reserves surrounding this city, and can be a tumultuous place. But I survived. I'm still alive.
So is it a fairly rural area, or is it a big city? How many
it's a city
how many people live there?
About 15,000. So it's
just
not very big.
Just a large town then.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and there's all these reservations surrounding us, and so there's just a lot of people coming in to town to commit crimes and then go home sometimes. But so it's a struggle.
That's
for
not
sure.
great.
No, it's just always been tumultuous for as long as I've been alive, and there's no end in sight. So I don't know what the answer is, but
move away.
Yeah, well, I did. I don't live here. I don't live in North Battleford anymore. I moved 1 hour away to Lloydminster, which is a totally different place. I've lived there for about 11 years. And that place is all just people spending too much money, spending money they don't have, putting themselves in debt, and it's crazy. But
I think you'll find that that's fairly prevalent all over the world at the moment.
Yeah.
Where they've destroyed economies, where they've insisted on people living or staying at home in this pandemic. I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what was the schooling like? Where did you go to school?
So I went to 2 different school systems. I was in the Catholic school system from kindergarten to grade 7, which was the school that I went to was very, I guess, residential schools happened here, right? So,
yeah. Well, I guess Catholic schools are fairly renowned for being really strict.
Yeah. So I guess the school that I went to wasn't super strict, but it definitely was, I guess you would say colonized. Like a lot of the indigenous kids that went to the Catholic school were very assimilated, I guess, into white culture. And then when I got a little older, we switched schools to a public school, and it was completely the opposite because it was very rough kids. It was mostly an all Indigenous school. I was one of a few white girls in my class, and I was picked on and beat up constantly for being the white girl. I was jumped all the time. I was dragged down the street by my backpack several times. So the anti-white girl racism was real when I was growing up. But I'm not allowed to say that anymore. So that is what it is.
I think that's the woke society coming into play there.
Yeah,
The old,
exactly.
the
So
old do-gooders, and unfortunately, it's not just Canada that has that problem. I think we
yeah,
certainly have
no,
got it in this country.
yeah, it's spread across the world, hasn't it?
Yeah,
So
and I don't know why we've let it happen.
yeah, it's out of control in my opinion at this point. But
Well, you managed to survive the school days then.
yeah, it made me tougher because after they beat me up enough times, I finally fought back, and then I became really good friends with a lot of them, and they became kind of my, friends into my adulthood until I moved away, and then I got into the workforce. And
So, what was your first job?
my first job was, I was 14, and I was inserting, I was a newspaper inserter. So, like, I don't know how your
Oh,
newspapers are everywhere, but
yeah,
our newspapers, it's like
they have
the bulk
inserts.
of it. And then there's all these ads that you have to put in it, like all the junk
Yeah,
mail. So I was just the person who stood in the factory putting
sticking junk mail in people's
junk mail
newspapers.
into people's newspapers. Yeah, exactly. But I had a lot of jobs as a teenager. I worked at Pizza Hut, Subway, Family Pizza, McDonald's. I worked everywhere. I could not hold down a job until I was like 18, and then I started working at Loblaws Superstore, and I worked there for 5 years, which was great. I think that everybody should work retail in a grocery store just to gain a
Hmm.
sense of, to humble yourself so that you can respect other people
Yeah,
in retail.
I guess that's one of the industries that people don't respect so much. I
Yeah.
mean, lots and lots of people on the tills get abuse on a daily basis, which is really wrong.
Mm-hmm.
People should just be nice to people when
Oh,
they're
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
When I would tell people that I work at the grocery store, they would, snicker and make fun of me. It wasn't a very high class job, but people don't realize that the grocery stores are unionized. So those people are making a lot more money than a lot of people. So they have nothing
yeah.
they should have nothing to say. So, and
So
then, yeah, after I spent a lot of years in the grocery store, then I worked in the oil field for a year, which I didn't like because just men treat you like you're incapable. They were always, let me do this for you, let me do this for you. And it was like, no, like, I work out here too. You guys can't just always, be taking over for me and stuff. And so, and the
so
hours were really
what was that
long.
job?
Sorry.
So what was the actual job in the oil field?
I was a pilot. So, like a big haul pilot. So I was one of the trucks that would drive ahead of the big trucks with wide loads to, like, let them know that everything was okay, and just kind of guide them, because in Canada you have to have a vehicle behind the wide load and a vehicle in front. So I was
All right.
either in front or back. And
So you're an escort to uh, a wide load,
Mhm.
indiversible load.
Yeah, like we were hauling
Yes.
oil tanks, and so then we would have to, you know put the tank on the site, unhook it, climb these like huge tanks. And I was afraid of heights, but they made me do it because they thought it was funny when I cried. but but I'm tougher for it now. So it was a good
Yeah.
job. I enjoyed it. And so
So what job did you do after that? So you only did that for a year.
For a year, and then I moved into the automotive industry, and I've been a marketing coordinator at a dealership for almost 9 years, and that's where I reside
All right.
still.
So what cars are you selling? Or what vehicles are you selling?
Chevrolet, Cadillac, and Corvette, and used
So
cars.
it's a fairly big concern then.
Yeah, it's a nice dealership. It's really great people, and yeah, and the vehicle shortage in the last couple of years has been really brutal. We used to have 180 cars on our lot, and now we have maybe 20. So
Good grief.
yeah.
Is that down to supply because of the pandemic?
Yeah, so
Or
there's
is
a
it people
certain
just not buying cars?
No, it's a chip shortage. There's a shortage of a specific chip or a specific metal that's used to make this certain chip, and without those chips, they can't get like heated steering wheels and fancy radios and all that kind of stuff. So all
Right.
these trucks are sitting built, but they need this one chip, or so we're
Yeah.
told. Like, who knows? But that's what we're told.
Yeah. Somebody mugging you off somewhere along the line.
Yeah, I'm sure someone higher up in the food chain is doing something to mess with the supply. I don't know, but who knows? So it's been
So
an
you've been there for
interesting.
9 years selling cars.
I don't
So
sell
what
them. I work in service for 4 of the years, and then I've been in marketing for the other years.
so what's the marketing side of it involve?
Just taking photos of the vehicles and getting them online, and yapping on Facebook, trying to make people come in and buy cars, and sponsoring hockey teams, or trying to find people to sponsor so that we can be part of the community. Like, it's a whole.
Yeah.
It's fun. I like it a lot. Yeah.
So does it cover a large area? I mean, do you marketing? Do you have people coming from quite a way out to
Yeah,
buy cars? Or?
we're about, like, people come all the way, like, so Lloydminster is actually a border city. It's on the border of Saskatchewan and Alberta. So we draw people in from all the way way southern Saskatchewan, all the way west from, Calgary, Red Deer sometimes, all the way even sometimes we ship vehicles to Manitoba. So we cover quite a large area, especially now with the shortage. People from all over are just trying to find certain vehicles that nobody has. So
All right.
yeah.
So this is a problem right across Canada and into America?
Well, sort
'Cause
of.
I guess a lot of cars are built in America, are they?
Yeah, I think so, but it's weird because our dealership has so little inventory, whereas you look at like Ford or Toyota, and they have a ton of inventory. So I don't really know. And again, like, we're told like these chips and this and that, but I don't know. So
Well, I think the computer industry is also suffering from lack of chips. Or I see that Apple are suffering. Intel, all the computer manufacturers are starting to run into this problem where they're running out of this particular type of stuff to make chips. Or is China? Maybe it's China that's holding
back.
everything up. I mean, most everything comes from China nowadays.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
So that's why I'm like something's going on, but who knows? Who knows? Um,
So 9 years there, and that brings you up to date.
yeah. And then I just
So,
do. Oh, go ahead.
so, so did you do any university, or did you just leave school at the end of secondary school?
Yeah, I actually never finished high school. Because I was I just chose to because I lived with my dad and things were kind of do whatever you want. So I just chose to work instead because I would rather have money to hang out with my friends than be in school. And without even my high school education, I've been pretty successful in life. So I'm very grateful
That's
for
good.
that.
Yeah, I have a
I've
similar
learned everything
story
on
to
the
school.
go. Sorry?
Yeah, I have a similar story to school. I was put off school at a fairly early age, and yeah, I very very nearly didn't get in the army because
Oh
I
wow.
struggled with a little bit of education. But I managed to get through life, and here I am at 63, going on
Mm.
64. Um, so yeah, you can do okay when you put yourself to it.
Yeah, and I always had a problem with school. Like I just never wanted to be there, and I was always causing trouble and being the class clown and just not I didn't want to go. And so I just stopped going and life turned out okay for me despite what my teachers used to tell me. So, ah.
A fair
But
one then.
yeah.
So what does the future hold?
I don't know. I have no idea. Uh I try not to think about it too much, especially with like everything going on in the world. Just it's made everything so uncertain for me because I, you know, I re- I refuse to get jabbed. So well, I can't because I have an autoimmune disease and my doctor and I both decided that like we don't know what it's going to do. And so
Mm.
I fear for the future. I don't know what's going to happen because Canada has like, yeah, I'm just going to keep working, doing my job because I love it and keep, podcasting and hope that things just keep going the way they are. But I don't know. Yeah.
So your podcast. So what are your podcasts about?
Oh gosh, they're all over the place. Like it's called Two Chicks in a Pod because we're just two chicks in a pod. Like we live together and we just talk about whatever we're feeling. Like we've done episodes you know, about racism, about exhibitionism. We it's all over the place. It's some drama. Like there's the town we live in, a lot of the women are very catty and cold and mean. A lot of mean girls who, 30-year-old women acting like they're in high school. So that gives us a lot to talk about sometimes, but it's just whatever we feel like. And we try to in the episode descriptions kind of give people an idea so they know if they want to listen to that one or not. But they're just 20-minute episodes of whatever's on our hearts. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So so you just have fun. Do you do it in a studio? How do you go about doing recording?
No, I
What
just
what's the equipment that you use?
we use just a Blue Yeti microphone and my laptop, and I have an editing program on my computer, and then we just do it all at her kitchen table. And we've been renovating the house, her house, for a while to make a podcast room, and it's coming along. But and then once we have that, we want to have lots more guests. But until we
Mhm.
have that, we don't want to because it's just at the kitchen table. So yeah,
Well, it's got to
um,
be done somewhere.
yeah, exactly. And we're just two,
And
broke girls trying to get by, trying to, so it's fun. And we do it for fun. And whether people like it or not, we don't care. It's like our time capsule of our lives, of our lives. So
yeah, absolutely. That's the reason I started getting into the podcast. Um, it was during that first lockdown. I was drinking it far too much, and I thought this can't carry on, and I can't see an end to the lockdown. And I just revamped some of my old skills, and started recording my life story, and I managed to get 24 half-an-hour episodes out of my life.
oh,
And
wow.
I got to into that, and I thought, what do I do? So I did a few extra ones, a little bit more in detail of some of the stuff that I've done in my life. Um, and then I thought, well, talked about everything about me. What about other people?
Mm.
So I started contacting friends, and started doing friends. First one I did was my mother, and we had quite a good chat
Oh, that's so
about
cool.
her life. And just last week, I recorded a 99-year-old guy who has has had a really interesting life.
Wow.
Um, so the first one went out last Sunday, and the next one's coming out this Sunday.
Was that
So
Maurice?
that's Morris.
Oh, Morris.
Yeah, Morris
Sorry.
Owens.
Okay.
Yeah, 99. I mean, so he was born in 1920, 1931, I think.
Holy.
21. Anyway, 1922 he was born. Got it. Let's get it right.
Yeah,
Born
I
in
can't I
22.
can't math in my
Um,
head.
so he's like 99. So we had a really good chat about what he did during leading up to the war, and where he lived, because he lived in North London, and it was being bombed at the time. And he moved out, and he worked for the Her Majesty's Stationery Office, and then went on to doing Applegate charts, to the Hydrographic Office,
Oh,
and
wow.
spent 30 years making charts. So that was a fascinating chat. And I've done lots of other guys. I've done submariners. I did a guy that was in charge of the nuclear bombs on a nuclear submarine. So we've had some really good people on.
I feel like
So
a boring person now after you said all those people.
well, it's just the way that it evolved for me. Just because I like talking to people,
Mhm.
and that's what I do. I like talking to people, and I like getting to see what their story is.
Yeah, and that's kind of some of the intent that we had, because we wanted, like, we know that in this city we live in, that there's all these people with these really tragic stories of being bullied by these cliques, and like
Mm,
adult women bullying adult women and stuff. And we really hoped that people would want to come share their truth with us, because I know so many people who feel that they're just locked down by like this, these secrets and these events that have happened. But I know from experience that if you talk about things openly and be honest and are an open person, then, a lot of the anxieties of your life can go away if you just are upfront and get it out there. So
mm.
we're still working towards that, but it's a struggle.
It's a work in progress. I
Yeah.
mean, the statistics on podcasters is that the average podcast episode, or the life of a podcast is about 7 to 10 episodes, and then they just fall off the ether.
Really?
Um,
Why do you think
yeah,
that is?
yeah, lots of people just get disillusioned with it. I mean, I'm up to 105, 106 podcasts now, and around about 8,000 downloads. So I kind of average sort of 50, 60 downloads an episode, which is okay.
That's good. That's better than us.
Well, it's taken sort of, what am I in, sort of 18, 20 months now into podcasting. And I've just started advertising on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
There's something came up on my Facebook the other day saying, or a few weeks ago, advertise on Facebook ads. So I've started doing that. As yet, I haven't seen a huge amount of return from it.
You
But
have or you haven't?
I haven't.
Oh,
So
really? Oh.
so I'm not sure whether it's going to work, but I'm going to review it in the new year because I've got ads going out every day at the moment,
Okay.
and I'll sort of set a sort of some parameters for the target audience that it's going to hit, and I'll set an amount each day that I want to spend maximum to. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that comes about. See if it grows a channel. If it doesn't, then I'll just stop it.
Yeah, right. Or just keep going. Why
Yeah,
not? Like, I feel like if
I
you,
mean, I'm doing it for fun. I
yeah.
mean, I'm retired. Uh, I'm sort of scraping by my pension, so it keeps me out of mischief, and and I don't drink quite so much,
That's good. That's good. That, like, I know
which is good.
before we started our podcast, I actually had my own that I was just doing just myself, and I did about 52 episodes. I did it for just over a year, once a week, and then I just changed. Like, it was right before I kind of woke up to what was going on in the world, and I just canceled it, quit it, and was going to start again with a new name and everything, but then I found my friend wanted to do it, and so we did that instead. But yeah, I feel like people who take it too seriously are, yeah, disillusioned is a great word for it, because they like,
Yeah,
why doesn't everybody want to hear what I have to say? But as long as you don't take yourself too seriously, and
yeah,
I know that consistency is key. A lot of people just don't do it consistent enough for it to be
yeah.
successful.
I try and put out an episode every Sunday. It goes out 6 o'clock GMT on a Sunday,
Mhm.
and I try to maintain that all the way through. There's been a couple of Sundays I haven't been able to put anything out. I haven't been able to get a guest in,
Mm.
which is why I started doing some rants.
Oh, yeah. I like the rants though. I listened to a few of them and
Yeah,
I like them. But I
so
think
so
because
from
I'm
that point of view,
Canadian, I appreciate your accent, so I just like listening to you talk. So maybe
oh,
you
that's
should be
great.
advertising to
Thank you.
Canadian listeners because we love accents.
Well, it's one of the target audience areas that I've done it to the obviously the UK, US, Canada, and Australia, English speaking.
Mm-hmm.
But
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure how it comes across to foreigners trying to learn English.
Yeah. I'd be
But
interested to hear about that.
but of course I speak the Queen's English because the Queen comes from London like I do.
Yeah. Is that what I was gonna ask? Because I know that you have like the same accent to me that like um certain like actors have, and I know that it's different, but I don't know how or why, like,
Well, I was dragged up in North London kicking and screaming, or just outside North London, a place called Hatfield in Hertfordshire, which is
oh,
about 20 miles from the centre of London. So it's not my fault. I blame my parents.
okay. No, don't ever lose it though, it's so cool. I
Thanks.
so
So Amanda, I think this has been a fascinating little chat.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
And whatever anybody says, I think you've had quite an interesting life, actually.
Oh,
I think you've got quite a lot to put out there.
well, thank
So,
you. I'm glad.
yeah. So what I'll do is I'll wish you a very, very Merry Christmas and a very, very successful, happy, lockdown-free 2022.
Yes. And same to you. Same to you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Mm.
Thanks for listening and look forward to the next one.
The Tim Heale Podcasts. Ordinary people's extraordinary stories.